Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. In this video, we're talking about Dalvin Cook and his fantasy football impact for fantasy football 2020. I'm excited to get in this show, deep dive, give you all the statistics, and give you guys a really, really good perspective and all the details before you decide, and if you decide to draft Dalvin Cook for fantasy football 2020, because he comes with a lot of risk, and I'm going to get into everything you need to know about Dalvin Cook this year. Before I get into that, guys, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. It means a lot to me. I'm creating the Impact series because I want you guys to get all the details about every single player that's really fantasy relevant so that you guys can make a properly educated decision before you roster this player. Because to me, every player that goes on my roster is hand selected with absolute precision. That's what it is, guys. You got to be precise with this stuff, okay? So Dalvin Cook's a guy I'm going to dive in. At the end of the video, I give you my verdict on where I would draft him, if I would draft him, what you guys should do with him. And at the end of the day, it's all up to you. I'm just giving you guys the facts and the details. It's up to you guys to dissect it and make a decision. Is he worthy of your sacred roster? Okay, because that's what it comes down to. It's very important that you guys have an optimal roster. Okay. Also, get the 16-round draft session where I give you guys all the optimal players in each round. This is the absolute game changer. Get rid of draft kits. Anyone selling you a draft kit, you could tell them they're an idiot because that's outdated. That's like selling you guys a payphone. Okay. We're beyond that now, okay? So I've created the video training of all the optimal players drafted in each round with all my notes, everything you need. It's like having me at the draft with you guys. Get it at thefantasyfootballcounts.com. And of course, guys, there's a link here below on YouTube. All right, so let's dive into Dalvin Cook and his stats first of all. I mean, this guy, he finished 6th in PPR last year. So I'm not going to take away last year because he had a great year, okay? He had a phenomenal year overall. But what really, really upset me last year was the fact that he yet again, third year in a row, didn't finish the season. He had week 15 he played, but he only had 9 attempts that week, 4.3 points standard. If you're looking at it from a PPR perspective, this is week 15, okay? Remember, this is a guy that a lot of people drafted very early on. This is technically their RB1. And from a PPR perspective, from week 13 and on, because he didn't play week 16 and 17. He wasn't in your fantasy football championships. His numbers sucked. I mean, week 13, 13.4 points. Week 14, 15.5. Week 15, right? 7.3. 7.3 points in week 15. This is technically your RB1, okay? He had some good games. His pinnacle game in regards to PPR fantasy points was week 10, where he had 31 points. He rushed for 97 yards. He rushed for over 100 yards, 5 times in the season? So not bad, right? Again, he had a pretty good season overall. Overall rushing yards, 1,135, 4.5 yards per carry, 13 touchdowns. Again, a safe year, 53 receptions on 63 targets for 519 receiving yards, but no receiving touchdowns, oddly. So when you're looking at Dalvin Cook last year, it was a good year. But the problem I have, and the problem I keep talking about, is his durability, okay? This guy, again, fighting for a contract is what he's trying to do. But I've watched the tape on him. I watched all the tape. Now, I got to give him credit on a couple runs where he powered through, went up the middle, looked pretty good. But for the most part, when you're looking at him, he basically gravitates out to catches the ball, runs out to the sidelines, obviously preserving his body understandably so, because he hasn't finished the seasons, right? He's just not a guy that stays durable, and he wants that mega contract because he knows he's not durable, right? He's got Alexander Madison breathing down his neck. Now, when you look at him, especially with the 2020 outlook with this guy, you got to take a look at durability. So 2017, he only played 4 games, okay? 2018, 11 games. 2019, 14 games, okay? That's unacceptable, guys. This is a guy, because there was a bye week there. So 14 games in 2019, 11 in 2018, 4 games in 2017. This is not a guy that finishes championships. This is not a guy that's even been in a fantasy football championship. So how could he even be considered? How can he even be thought of in the first round of anybody's fantasy football draft? The thought is unreal. And I want to tell you guys that I'm the only person, and I will go on record by saying it, and that's okay. He could come out, have a 17-week phenomenal season next year, plays the entire season. Let's say he has a we're looking at 2020 projection. Let's say he has the best year in his life, okay? I'm not afraid to say that I will safely not have Dalvin Cook in my top 10. I'm not even going to rank him. When I don't rank a player, it means I won't draft him. I'll tell you why. Let me explain this to you. So, for example, if I were to rank him, that would mean I would take him. So let's just say I rank him, and let's say he's 16th on my ranking. I'll never get him at 16 because people, the mainstream, the consensus, the consensus, they don't have the lion mentality. They're going to draft him anyway in top 5. I'm not going to touch him there, right? So what's the point of me even ranking him? Because I'm never going to draft him. I'm just not going to touch him. I'd rather have another guy. I'd rather have a Saquon, a Zeke, or someone else. I'd rather have Kamara than him, right? Because they're more durable, and what you see is what you get for most part out of these guys, okay? Now you can say Saquon got hurt last year, but listen, the guy still had over 1,000 yards. He's an absolute beast. They improved the O-line. Love the ceiling with Saquon. Totally different conversation. Also, Dalvin Cook is a product of that offense. Like, it's the same type of situation. Going back to Le'Veon Bell. Let's talk about Le'Veon Bell for a second. He did great on the Steelers, and everybody was saying, yeah, draft him in the first round, at the end of the first round back last year. I said, no, do not draft Le'Veon Bell. He is a product of the offense. Now, again, people are going to say I'm crazy. The same way they said I was crazy last year when I said Landry is better than Odell. And the fact of the matter, he is, and he outperformed Odell. Same type of thing here. Madison is better than Dalvin Cook. The only reason Cook performs really well is because he's on a high-octane offense with a good O-line, right? He does well because he's got good weapons that's designed around the run, and he's a product of that offense. Obviously, he's talented, don't get me wrong, but Madison could jump in and do the same type of thing, the same way that D'Angelo Williams and James Conner did in Pittsburgh when Le'Veon Bell was out. And when Le'Veon Bell went on the Jets, he sucked. So you put Dalvin Cook on the Dolphins or another team that's mediocre, on a team that doesn't produce high-caliber running backs, he's going to perform at an average level. He is excelling because he's a product of the offense. I want you guys to note that, okay? And he's absolutely brittle. So let's talk about the verdict here. What am I doing with Dalvin Cook? You kind of already heard it already. I am not going to draft Dalvin Cook. I will not put him in my top 10 because I'm not going to draft him. He's never going to fall to me because if I were to consider drafting him, I'd probably consider drafting him in the 5th round, 6th round. In the 5th, 6th round, I can get myself David Montgomery. His average ADP is 5. I can get David Johnson, who I like better, who's going to finish ahead of Dalvin Cook this year anyway. So you got to look at the situation. You got to look at the talent. David Johnson, far superior athlete to Dalvin Cook. And I know you're saying, oh, David got hurt. Yeah, it was a fluke wrist injury. He got smoked. He caught the ball. A defender came in, a cornerback, I think it was, came in, flew in, broke his wrist. That was, you can't prevent that. But this guy, serious injury history. Again, 4 games in 2017, 11 in 2018, 14 in 2019. Unacceptable. And the way he runs, I encourage you, go watch his tape. Aside from a couple runs, I mean, this guy, I'm telling you, just gravitates this. He runs out of bounds a lot, and he gingerly runs out, and he's very cautious. He falls forward nice and tight. He doesn't want to get hurt. He's very, very paranoid because he knows another injury, another little sideline move will ruin his entire career. This is make or break for Dalvin Cook. And part of you're like, yeah, okay, Joe, he still needs to get paid, so he's incentivized. He has threatened to hold out and this and that. But I don't know. Running backs are just like, I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but they're just not like as important as the quarterback position, obviously, and they get hurt so often, and their shelf life isn't as high as, let's say, a quarterback. So Le'Veon Bell made a case. I don't know if this is going to continue on, man, because, again, we've seen guys with high-paid contracts just not performing very well or getting injured. Devontae Freeman, Todd Gurley having a fall off after the big contract hangover. Dalvin Cook's a guy that could also have that if he gets paid. And the Vikings know that he's a product of that offense. They know, and that's why they acquired Alexander Madison. They know that they could perform just as well with or without Dalvin Cook. They don't need him. So I don't think he's going to get paid that mega contract. If he does get paid, I think he'll be paid a safe, comfortable agreement. He's not going to be like astronomical. It's not going to be record-breaking by any means at all. So the verdict here with Dalvin Cook, I'm staying away. I'm not touching him. I will not draft him. And some people say, oh, you dislike Dalvin Cook. No, I don't dislike him as a person, as I don't know him. So maybe he's a jerk in real life. I don't know. But all I know is that I will not, I repeat, I will not invest a first-round pick on a guy that has not finished a season. That's what it comes down to here. It all comes down to, historical data, and that's the bottom line. So Dalvin Cook is a guy that's he literally blew his entire load last year. Literally, like he was on his last legs. And again, he fell apart near the end of the season yet again. And I definitely see that continuing on going into 2020. He will not finish the season. History shows me Dalvin Cook will not finish the season. He is one of the most injury-prone running backs. And this goes to Darius Geis as well, because Darius Geis got hurt, I believe, in his rookie year, comes back, makes this funny video, not even a funny video, but he was like, yeah, you guys are calling me injury-prone. I'm not injury-prone. Are you guys crazy? And he's basically making fun of the haters. Then he got injured a week later. Listen, once you guys get the injury bug, it's very hard to come out of that for a lot of players. We've seen it with tight ends like Jordan Reed as well, who's had the injury bug and it just won't go away. Dalvin Cook definitely falls in that category. He's just not built the same way as like a Derrick Henry, knock on wood, or a Zeke Elliott. He's just not as strong as those guys. I'm telling you, he's agile. He's a good running back, but he's not a top tier guy. There's no way in heck I'm investing a first round pick or any pick on Dalvin Cook for fantasy football 2020. Heed my warning, guys. I mean, it's obvious, okay? Heed my warning. Stay away from Dalvin Cook. Draft somebody else who's more durable and implement that robust RB draft strategy that I talk about, where I go, you go 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, load up on those running backs, okay? Be smart with your picks. Be smart with everything for fantasy football. That's why you got to get the 16-round draft solution. And, of course, let me leave a comment below. And if you're watching on YouTube, let me know. Are you drafting Dalvin Cook for fantasy football 2020? I'd love to get your feedback, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. And that is Dalvin Cook's fantasy football impact and outlook 2020. Thanks for being here.